this thing on.
Testing.
Hey everyone, I'm Bradley Schneller. This is Sarah Altabello.
Hi.
This is, with that being said, a Root Fitness podcast.
So I have to just say before we say anything else, I couldn't help but think I went to Bonnaroo when I was 18. My parents had no idea what I was getting myself into when they bought the ticket, but saw Ben Folds and the guy doing his mic check. Instead of just a 1 2 1 2, would go to like each instrument and each mic, and then say STDs.
Oh my goodness!
Like, syphilis.
The clap.
It
The
was.
clap.
That's exactly what he did.
Can you hear us? The clap.
And so now, whenever anyone does a mic check, that's all I can think about.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
totally great way to start this thing.
Fantastic. All right, y'all. Today we're talking about why confidence matters and confidence versus ego and the differences between the two.
Yeah, I think we get confused about the two a lot and have a hard time drawing a line between them. So,
Yeah. Icebreaker though.
yeah. So, what was something that you were absolutely terrified to do, but you did it anyway and you were proud of?
So for me, that's coaching the kids, like flag football team and soccer team.
Yeah.
Like the first couple of weeks, I just had so much anxiety going to the practice, and I'm anxious about it. I'm nervous. I'm sweating. Like I'm stressed out. I don't know why. It's 6 and 7-year-old kids, but it just freaks me out. And it's like that every time in the beginning, and then like I get comfortable, so I lack confidence in it. I'm terrified,
Yeah.
but it ends up being fine because I get to practice on adults all day.
Yeah. And I remember that first game, you like spending half a day like printing out plays and
Yeah.
like poring over notes and all the fine print, and then it turned out to be fine.
Yeah. So what about you?
A lot of people don't know this. I went to a small arts college for a year in Santa Fe. I was going to be an actor, and one of the things we had to do at the end of the semester was we had to sing 2 songs in front of the rest of the department. I've always been comfortable in front of people with dancing and acting, but I don't have confidence in my singing abilities. I think I can carry a tune, and that's about it. So I like put it off until the last day I could possibly do it. I did it. Was very glad I did, but a couple years ago I had a friend auditioning for a local musical, and she was scared to go by herself. And so I just went with her and auditioned with no intention of getting in, but I was not
And you
scared
got
to
in?
do it. No.
Okay. But you crushed it. It was like good practice.
Yeah, it was just fun to go, and like I didn't care. I wasn't nervous about it because I had ripped that Band-Aid off a few years before.
Yeah, and I remember Emily talks about like her first nutrition client, or the very first time she had to do public speaking or go on the news, how terrified she was. But repetition actually like breeds confidence.
Yeah.
And now it's NBD.
Yeah,
That's no big
absolutely.
deal for those of you who don't know that acronym.
In case you didn't know,
In case you didn't know. So
learn something new every day.
awesome. All right, well let's jump in. Confidence versus ego.
Yeah, so I found this thing online, and I really
Oh.
liked what?
1 second. Make sure you put in the comments. We shared our terrifying moment that turned out to be okay.
Yes.
And we were proud of. Make sure you share yours in the comment below.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I found this, and I thought it was kind of a really good jumping off point. To have confidence is to have faith in your own abilities and believe in yourself. But the ego is something else entirely. Unlike confidence, the ego operates out of self-interest. It's an entirely different thing to take on a self-righteous attitude and judge others along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd like to think that ego can be, it's damaging in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
One of the ways ego can be damaging is it doesn't allow you to grow.
Right.
You know, it keeps you in the same state because you think you're better than everyone else, or
Yeah.
you think you know more, and so it really harms you in that matter. Which in the gym doesn't allow you to get better.
Yeah.
You might not get fitter, and then you might get injured.
Yeah. The thing I think about the most with ego is overconfidence. I think ego comes with a lot of judgment
Right.
Of others, and judgment I think is something that is, for the most part, it's very negative, and I always think that those negative thoughts and that energy and those feelings do nothing but drain and exhaust you. You don't get anything back from that.
Right.
So you end up losing a lot of mental and physical energy when you're spending a lot of it judging those around you.
Well, also, ego comes in a lot of different forms.
Yeah.
And I think all of us can have an ego.
Oh,
right.
100%.
And I think back to when I was taking yoga on the reg with Bridget Martin.
On the reg is regularly, for those who didn't know. NBD.
NBD.
Just throwing that in there.
But I was taking yoga regularly with Bridget Martin, with Grace Yoga and Pilates. She's a phenomenal yoga teacher. But one thing one thing that she said to me all the time that stuck with me was, don't let my ego get in the way. And she would say that in terms of, here's a pose, here I want you to try to do it. And I did not have the yoga experience yet to put myself in that pose.
Right.
But I kept attempting it to the detriment of what the session was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So the session was supposed to be about maybe mindfulness or working my way to that pose, so I didn't humble myself
right.
to do the, modified pose, which made the entire portion completely difficult. I lost what she was trying to get from me from maybe a mindfulness standpoint.
Yeah.
And it didn't ruin the session, but I didn't get out of it as much as I could have.
Yeah. I've had similar experiences in yoga. I think because of I finally let go of it. I would say like 2 years ago, I started doing it pretty regularly, and I had this like epiphany. But kind of going in and being like, I can do all of this stuff in the gym, but I can't hold this pose.
Right.
And getting frustrated and leaving there, getting absolutely nothing positive out of my class, out of the session, and that was all my fault.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some ways that ego can cause harm here in the gym?
I see a lot of people, instead of listening to their bodies, looking at a workout and looking at the class around them and approaching the workout in terms of who they can beat or who they should score better than, who they should lift heavier than, and then instead of staying within what they are capable of that day and staying within themselves, they don't listen to their bodies at all, and they push it too hard, and they end up physically hurting themselves. And then on top of that, that's not going to help build positive relationships with the people you're in class with.
Right. Yeah. So
I think that's a huge thing.
Hurts relationships. Okay. Might cause like anger.
Yeah, and like if you leave here pissed off all the time, then you didn't do it right.
Right, and that happens a lot. A lot of people leave the gym sometimes pissed off, and you should never leave the gym pissed off. This is your happy place. Right, it happens.
But it shouldn't be a regular thing.
It should not be a regular thing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Tell me a time when, outside of maybe yoga, when ego got in your way.
I had an injury maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and it was around this time of year. We were getting ready for Nutcracker season, and I tried to force myself to get back into. So I tore a ligament in my ankle, and I was trying to get back onto point in time for Nutcracker, and in an effort to prove those around me wrong that I could do it, I ended up making my injury way worse,
right,
and having to take a lot longer to rehab it than I needed to in the first place.
Right. I don't think there's maybe a specific instance for me that I can recall off the top of my head outside of that yoga session, or sessions, because it happened multiple times. But I do know that, over the course of time at the gym, we all grow as people, and I've been doing this about 10 years. I've had the gym for 6. And being the gym owner, I felt that I had to be the best at everything.
Yeah.
Or people weren't going to respect me if I wasn't the best at everything.
Right.
So it pushes you in a way that maybe you shouldn't be pushed. And then also, that competitive nature comes out. It doesn't allow you to have as much fun
Right.
as you want. Like, I really enjoy working out with my boys or my girls, like when it's a sesh with Sarah and Chelsea, and we go hard at it. We're all trying to beat each other, but it's fun. And the same thing with Shane or Kevin or Bob, and we're all chasing after each other. And I might win, they might win, but now it's fun. It's fun-natured. We rib on each other. Where before, I felt like this immense pressure that I had to win.
Yeah. And then that's the difference between, like, in that last 400-meter run, you and someone pushing each other. If you are having fun and they beat you by like 2 steps, then it's no big deal. You high five, you look forward to the next time, and if not, it sticks with you the rest of the day, and you're pissed off about it.
Right.
You're upset.
Right,
So,
or you're worried about someone else's reps or whatever because you want your name to be so high on the whiteboard, which is crazy, right?
CrossFit is where the game's made up and the points don't matter, but we sure do love it. But it doesn't
That's great.
actually matter, y'all.
So, all right, we've talked about ego a lot. Let's talk about confidence, okay? What does confidence look like to you in the gym?
For me, it's staying within myself and it's something I still struggle with. Like, I know where I do have confidence and where I don't. Like, yesterday's workout, I knew I was like, I will do really well if I just take a deep breath and listen to my body. And that was like all the confidence I needed. Like, I can do this. I will do well. But I'll even say, like, I still struggle with like a heavy overhead movement. Like, I just lack confidence in my ability. Like, oh, there's no way I'm strong enough to get that over my head, no matter how much I drill technique.
So I think it's interesting. I think confidence manifests its way in a couple of different ways. So from a competitive standpoint, and I don't mean like the bad competitive standpoint, I mean like you're in a competition or you're really going hard and you have the confidence to know that you've hit this a ton of times before and you're going to nail it, and it helps you roll into that movement, that exercise, or whatever, okay? But there's also the confidence within yourself, or the confidence of who you are as a person.
Right.
To know that if I don't hit this lift, if I don't do as good as I did on this workout, it's okay because
it doesn't change who I am.
It doesn't change who I am.
Yeah.
And people still like me. And, I do all this other stuff outside of the gym that makes me a good person.
Yeah. And I can't help but listen to that and think about when I first joined Rue, and we talked last time or whenever we did a little bit about when we cherry picked workouts, and I said like what I would cherry pick, and that was all ego and a lack of confidence because I wanted to show up and have people think I had my shit together and not see me struggle. Yeah.
So, go ahead.
Oh, and I was also going to talk about it with nutrition, but if you
go ahead.
Oh, I didn't ever really think about confidence in terms of nutrition until like the last year, and a lot of that has to do for me with like sticking to your guns and like setting your goals and not letting other people's comments deter you.
Right.
Like when I did my first Eat Clean challenge, just as a member, I remember hearing all the time when I would like go out to eat or eat with friends and family, oh, can you have that? That's not compliant. Or at a party, no, don't even offer her. She can't have that. Do you think she eats cake? Like, she can't do that. And those comments would make me feel, at the time, I wasn't confident in myself and the direction I was going. So I would let those comments deter me.
Or you cave.
Yeah, or I would just cave. Because I would just be like, no, it's fine, watch, I can have this. Or like, ha ha ha, don't make a big deal out of it.
And then you're upset later.
And then I get really upset later. And that happens a lot.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. So I'm going to talk a little bit about myself here a little bit. And, but Probably for as long as people have known me, or like let's say Emily, who's known me 15 years, she would say that I was always confident, and I wasn't. But I wanted people to think that I was confident
Yeah.
because it made up for my lack of self confidence inside. So
Yeah.
I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy with the way I looked, but I acted confident.
Right.
The interesting part about that is if you fake it till you make it, eventually they come together.
It's true.
And it really did, like me acting like I was confident for so long, allowed me to, once I started to put the pieces and parts together, exude real confidence.
Yeah.
Which has helped me, in a big way throughout. But I totally get it when you talk about like the nutrition aspect and, almost like a lack of confidence in either yourself or what you're doing will either like send you down a downward spiral.
Yeah.
Or it makes you crazy. And what I mean by that is only recently have I felt super comfortable within my skin. And by recently, I mean maybe in the past year or 6 months, to where I'm like, it's okay if I wake up and I don't have a six pack today.
Yeah.
Like I know I did it before. I know I can get it again. I just got to tweak a couple of things. So maybe the weekend or this trip doesn't set itself up for me to live my life perfectly like I want, but I'm confident that I can maybe aesthetically or feel-wise get myself to where I was before.
Right.
For instance, like that happened in Spain. I didn't work out for 10 straight days, and I was just eating and drinking whatever. But I was in Spain, so it's no big deal. And that I've allowed myself to start to feel that way. The same thing, like I used to feel like I had to work out every single day.
Yeah.
And now I don't feel that way, And of course, some of that has come with experimentation, but I just have confidence in who I am to where I don't feel like I need to fill some type of void in my life with that on a daily basis. Because at 35, soon to be 36 in a couple of weeks, like it can be somewhat destructive.
Totally it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So.
Awesome.
No, I think
anything else?
No, that was a really great story. And yeah, lacking that confidence, I'm sure you just felt like you weren't ever moving forward. Or that's how I have felt when I haven't felt confident.
No,
like
I mean,
stuck.
You feel like you're stuck. You feel like you're just spinning your wheels and you're not able to grow.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to let Rue take the wheel.
Well, yeah, that was
and drive that boat for you.
So, what do you think are some tools or tips for gaining confidence? And it's not, okay, so the other part in all of this is that it doesn't happen overnight, and that's what we want. We always want quick fixes and quick things, but this is something you have to actively work on.
So I think you have to realize or take note of what's realistic. Like, take a self-assessment. What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve, right? We talk about goals all the time, okay? Let's talk about what's realistic, okay? What are some realistic goals? How long will it take me to achieve them? And then let me do the little things to get there, okay? But if something goes off track, don't freak out, okay? And then set yourself up for success. So, okay. Setting yourself up for success rather than failure is a big part to leading towards confidence. So, like, let's say you have these goals that aren't realistic. For example, like if I said, I'm going to be a regionals athlete, okay, or a CrossFit Games athlete, it's equivalent to me saying I'm going to be an NBA star, okay? But the reality is that's not a real goal, okay? I have 2 kids. I run this business. I'm 35. This is not a great time to start that, okay? My lifestyle doesn't lead me to that, so I'm just setting myself up for failure. Or, say like I want 5% body fat.
Yeah,
that's more realistic, okay? Like right now my body fat hovers around 10 to 12%. And for me to say like I want 5-6% body fat, is that achievable? yes, it's achievable. The steps that I would take would have to get that would completely ruin the rest of my life. So I would be either setting that goal up for failure or setting my other goals that I have in life up for failure.
And your relationships.
And my relationships, right. And so, like I always say, set yourself up for success and, what you're choosing to go after.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for. We talk about that, for a goal to actually work, you should tell someone and create accountability. But I think on the flip side of that, it's also good to tell someone that, and you should tell someone you really trust, because they should be able to tell you if it is not something you can do and help you figure out what is realistic and what is achievable for you.
Yeah.
And I see that sometimes with nutrition clients. They come in and they have goals that aren't necessarily unrealistic, but they are so far down the road that the idea, I don't know that we are going to be able to create the motivation and the momentum to keep that goal on the forefront.
That makes sense, yeah.
So we have to take it a step back and think about what kind of wins we can create sooner.
Yeah, and so, let's think about it in terms of a football team. I love what you just said. What kind of wins can we create sooner, okay? Think about an NFL team or basketball team or baseball team. You lose 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row, you think you have any confidence? No, it's gone, okay? But you win 4 or 5 times in a row, and now you think you can beat anyone, right? So, let's say someone like Nick Saban, coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, which I'm not a fan of the Alabama Crimson Tide, but I am a fan of how he sets his team up for success and instills confidence. And Nick Saban would probably break that down as to, it's not about winning this game.
Right.
It's about executing these little bitty individual plays in the game and doing those to the best of your ability and how you should do them. And those little wins will equal greater success.
Yeah.
Okay? And so if you do those little individual things within a game, within a season, well, now you're setting yourself up for real success, which breeds confidence. I'm going to give a shout out to Joe Brady. Joe Brady is the passing game coordinator for LSU. I don't know if you watched an LSU game this season, but they are crushing it. They got the best offense through 6 games all time in the history of the SEC. Shout out to my boy, Joey Football Burrow. Okay? You're the man. All right. Recently, they talked about LSU putting up 550 yards against Florida and how amazing it is to see. And Joe Brady said, I don't care about what it looks like, okay, how amazing it is. I care about how well we execute individual play, individual play. So every time you execute a play to success, you breed a little bit more confidence. So when you get to the end of the game in a crunch time, okay, now you have the confidence that I can do this because I've done it a bunch of times before where I've executed this perfectly.
Yeah, and we said it before. You have to win the session, win the day, win the week, win the month. And it's not like we get caught up in the bigger picture when we're in it. But if you look back at a team that has won any kind of championship, you see that all year long they have done the little things right to win each time they're out on the field or the court or wherever they are.
And so, to bring this back full circle, how do you set yourself up for that in the gym or nutrition? Well, in the gym, show up as often as you can. Don't let life get in the way unless you have to, okay? The other thing is, go back to what we talked about at the beginning, leave your ego at the door, okay? So if you leave your ego at the door, let the coaches do what they're supposed to do, let the programming do what it was designed to do, and you show up, you will be set up for success, which will equal more confidence, okay?
Yeah.
In terms of nutrition, that would be focus on the individual meal. What can I do with this meal?
Yeah, what can you do to make each meal or each day 1% better than the one before?
Yeah,
don't bite off more than you can chew. Literally.
Right, exactly.
So funny.
So, awesome, y'all. Well, this was great. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, this was fun.
Yeah, this was fun. So, we'll be talking soon. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.